Hello everyone, welcome to another patron-only Tuesday stream. Hi there, I am Jason Bowman. I'm the creator of the Pathfinder role-playing game and the mad brain behind the Eventide campaign setting. How are y'all doing here tonight? I am personally getting very excited. We are a little over a week away to the start of the playtest campaign, and with that comes, of course, all the tension of needing to put the adventure together. That's coming together very nicely. I'm hoping that this time next week, here on Tuesday night, we're going to take a first look at the adventure itself, or at least the first part of the adventure. I'm not going to write the whole thing. I'm going to actually develop it as I go, write and develop it as we are playing it. But tonight, I figured what we would do is take a look at two very important pieces that are being added to the Eventide world. The first is the Destiny system, so we're going to go and look at that. The Destiny system has been posted up on MinotaurGames.com and is available to all Patreon supporters of the Scholar tier and higher. And the other thing we're going to take a look at is the Penumbrist. I want to give you a first glimpse of the Penumbrist right here today. The Penumbra should be going up for everyone to take a good look at and start playtesting later this week. I'm aiming for Thursday. It's going to be a struggle to get there, but I feel like I can hit it. I want to hit it before April 1st. So we're almost there. All right. So let's get started here. First of all, thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your Tuesday night to come and hang out with me and talk about Eventide. And, and thank you for supporting this this Patreon. It really means a lot to me. I want to remind folks that, all the money from this is going into art. And actually, I'm super excited because the art, I'm actually starting to chat with the artist, and we're talking about delivering sketches and things like that. So I don't know when I'm going to have anything to show off, but I guarantee when I have something to show off, the first place you're going to see it is. So that's coming soon. But let's get to tonight's topic. Tonight we are talking about Destiny. Let's start by chatting about that a bit. So Destiny is a system that's been a part of this campaign for a long time now. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's kind of an add-on to the Pathfinder core. And basically what Destiny is it's a system designed to allow players to kind of signal to the GM and the other players at the table what they think their character's ultimate fate is. As a player, this is something I do kind of just as part of my kind of character generation, right? Like, I like to imagine, hey, this is the arc, this is the journey this character is on. Maybe they'll make it, maybe they won't. We'll find out during play, but that's the story arc I'm putting in front of them. So Destiny is a way to kind of say, this is the story that I think this character's on. This is where they're heading. They're heading to be a great leader. They're going to, be a martyr. They're going to, protect this kingdom from a foul fate, right? I'm just kind of signaling to everyone else, this is what I imagine their destiny to be. And how it works is, as a player, you create your character, and destiny is just another step. It's another selection that you make. As part of your character creation, you just pick your destiny. You pick your ancestry, your background, your class, and your destiny. We just add that on. And destiny, really, its only real function is to, all of its mechanics, tie into hero points. So it allows you to spend your hero points in new and different ways. And frankly, if you ignore it, you still get to spend your hero points the normal way, right? You can still spend them on rerolls. You can still spend them to avoid dying. This doesn't replace it. It's just an add-on to it. So Destiny is there to kind of give you some tools to make that destiny manifest, right? Like, all the powers and abilities speak to the nature of that destiny and things you should be good at. It's fate nudging you along, getting you to go in the course that is preordained. In this case, preordained by your player. But fate, destiny isn't an absolute. It's meant to be aspirational. That's the thing about it. It's not saying, hey, I better become a great leader by the end of this campaign because I took the leader destiny. That's not it. It's the concept here is to say, this is what I see this character's arc being. But halfway through, you might change it. You might abandon it. You might fight against it, in fact. You might decide that it's something that isn't for your character halfway through. The story may change it for you, and that's okay. So that's kind of up to you, right? Like, I can see a player picking a destiny and then deciding through play, and what happens to them through play, deciding to fight against their own destiny, which eventually leads them to changing their destiny, picking a different one, right? Because a destiny can be completed. You can finish it. Hey, I was out to get revenge on the person who burned down my village and killed my family. Well, halfway through the campaign, you might finally catch that villain and bring them to justice. Your destiny's done. It's finished. That's it. Destiny done. And you can complete your destiny, and then for a period of time you can be without one. And the system actually rewards you for completing your destiny and taking a bit of a pause. Right, so for as long as you don't have a destiny after you've completed one, you get 2 hero points at the start of the session instead of 1. But you know, only for a little while. Then you gotta pick a new one, and then you're back to normal. But you can also abandon a destiny. You can just say, no, I'm done doing it. You don't get a bonus for doing that, but you can just leave it and then wait a bit of time and then pick a new one. This allows you to change one. And of course, the GM can also offer you a destiny and say, hey, this destiny is calling to you. Do you accept it? Right? And then you can change the destiny. There's a bunch of different ways that destinies can kind of be adapted. It's meant to be, frankly, as flexible as it needs to be, right? The players can pick whichever one they want. GMs can offer them ones that seem more appropriate to the story and to their character arc. And, looking at the notes about where it's going, they can kind of pick one that's more appropriate. Right, there's a whole bunch of things you can do to kind of make it work. So let's take a look at some of these destinies and just see what they have to offer. So I'm gonna hop over to the Minotaur game site here real quick. And so this is the rules for destinies over on Minotaur Games. It's got its own tab. Obviously, it's over in Eventide Player Archives, Character Options, Destiny. There it is. So this just went up here 2 days ago, pretty late actually. So here we've got the destinies. This gives you the rules for gaining a destiny, calling upon your destiny. Now, you can call upon your destiny in kind of 2 basic ways. The first way is in a certain check defined by your destiny. And unlike other uses of hero points, you spend the hero point before you roll. You know this is coming. You know it's the roll you're about to make. You spend the hero point beforehand. When you do this, you roll twice. You take the better result, and you get a +2. So it's better than re-rolling after the fact. But you have to decide to do it beforehand. The other way you can spend hero points as part of your destiny is with the special action given to you by your destiny. Now, each destiny has kind of some different abilities in there. We have some rules in here for completing your destiny. Now, one other thing that destinies do come with is an anathema. And basically what this is a way that you can betray your destiny, right? You're fighting against it. You don't get the benefits of the destiny for a period of time, depending on how much you violate the anathema. It's a story decision you make. Yes, you'll lose those abilities for a little while. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. Maybe it plays into your story. Maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe you don't even know your destiny. I could see GMs having a campaign where everyone has a destiny, but they don't know what it is, right? And you only find out kind of through trial and error, and maybe at times you get offered abilities or rerolls if you accept your destiny. So we've got a whole bunch of destinies in here. I want to kind of quickly walk through them here. First up, we've got Blessed. Basically, this is a divine power is looking out for you. You are blessed by some higher calling. And are meant to, over time, become a beacon or a champion of this faith. Your Destined check counts on religion checks that pertain to your sponsor, and will saving throws against incapacitation effects that would control your actions. Anathema are the same things as your patron deity, and your special action for being blessed is a call for guidance. This basically allows you to augury, so you can call upon your deity to basically gain the effects of an augury. Pretty straightforward stuff. The next one is Defender. This is an interesting one. This basically means that you've sworn an oath to defend a person or place. And, as long as you hold breath, you will do everything within your power to protect that thing. So you get your Destined check is saving those against incapacitation and fear effects. Anathema is things like abandoning your charge or leaving it vulnerable. And then you get a reaction called Take a Hit, where you can spend a hero point to basically dive in the way of an attack and take the damage instead. Right? You can protect your charge by spending the hero point. Next up is one of my favorites. You're doomed! You were born under an ill omen. Your life is sure to come to a bad end, yet you carry on. In fact, knowing that nothing ever seems to go your way is freeing in a way, because the outcome of most chances you take is already known, and when one happens to work out, it is a genuine surprise. Now, this doesn't mean you're destined to die or have something horrible happen to you, but what it does mean is that you're pretty sure that you're going to come to a foul end, whatever that is. So this is one of the more interesting ones. I don't think all of these should be good, right? Some of them should be bad. It's like, no, this guy's just a bad omen. Everything about him is destined to go wrong. So the destined check on this is any saving throw made after the initial saving throw against an effect. So the second save against poison, the continuing save against a paralyzation effect, right? You can make it on any of those. As long as it's not the first save, any save after that. Anathema is finding hope. Don't get hopeful. You're gonna come to a bad end. And then accepting your fate is the free action you get here. When you get hit, you have learned long ago to lean into your destiny, and that by doing so you can better accept punishment that it has in store for you. Spend a hero point. The strike does the minimum amount of damage, treating every die as if it rolled a 1. If the attack was a critical hit, this instead reduces it to a normal hit, and you roll damage as normal. I love this one. This is one of my favorites. I have played characters like this many a time. Geez, some of these are so much fun. I really do like the Forgotten as well. That's the next one. And this is, you're just destined to be forgotten. All of your great achievements will probably end up on someone else. You won't be remembered. That's just not who you were meant to be. You're going to be behind the scenes. You're going to be making things happen, but no one's going to know your name. So obviously you get, your destined checks are on deception checks made to impersonate people, and stealth checks made to hide. Anathema is going out of your way to grab the spotlight, and you get this special ability called Blend into a Crowd, which allows you to spend an action, wander off into a crowd of people, and just get lost in the crowd. You're not invisible, but people can't pick you out in a crowd of folks. So you can kind of become undetected and leave the area pretty easily that way. So that's Forgotten. Here's one that I think is a very classic fantasy trope. You're homesick. You're longing for a place that you want to call home. You're hoping to get back to this kind of forgotten place. Maybe you never were there. Maybe it's lost to you. Maybe you were sent somewhere else. You're trying to find a place where you truly belong. So destined checks is fortitude saves against any effect that would cause you to become fatigued or slowed. Basically anything that slows you down and prevents you from reaching your goal. So checks made to escape being grabbed, immobilized, restrained. Survival checks to subsist, things like that. Anathema are things like disregarding an opportunity to learn more about your home or learning about how you might return there. And the special ability here excuse me, is carry on. Whenever you're affected by a condition at the start of your turn, you can basically spend a hero point to ignore the condition that round. You can just kind of stop dealing with it for a round, and you can carry on. We get into some that I think are pretty straightforward. Things like leader, right? You're destined to be an important leader. Your destiny checks are diplomacy skill checks. You can rally the troops. This is kind of a fun one. You basically give a speech to an assembled mass of people. You spend a hero point, and for the next 10 minutes, everybody within 30 feet that hears your entire speech receives a hero point that they can spend only to re-roll a roll. So basically, you inspire everyone. You're not giving them a hero point that's going to save their life. You're not giving them a hero point they can use on their own destiny. All they can do is re-roll things with. But you do give it to everybody, right? So, the kind of thing a leader would do. So next up we've got lineage. You basically, you're destined for greatness. Your time is come. You're the seventh son of the seventh son. You know, you're destined to go on to great things just by the very nature of your birth. You know, destiny checks is society skill checks. You know, and you can call upon your blood. Your blood cannot fail. At the start of the session, when everyone gets 1 hero point, you get an additional one. Whenever you spend a hero point to reroll the check and the check fails, you may spend an additional hero point to roll for a third time. You must take the result of this check, even if it is worse. So what this means, lineage is like the system's too much for me. I'm just destined for greatness. I just get an extra hero point. I can't spend it on anything other than the normal stuff. But I do start every session with 2, not 1. Next up, we got Merciful. This is just, you know, you are destined to become a figure of great mercy. Medicine skill checks are your destined checks. You get Merciful Strike. Basically, this allows you to spare foes. Even if you can swing as hard as you want, and as long as you have a hero point, you can trigger the Merciful Strike and basically leave them alive. Allows you to question folks. You can even do it to things that normally die at 0. And what happens is they are reduced to 1 and stunned 1, so that you can offer them to surrender and take them captive, question them, that sort of stuff. All right, the next one here, we're cruising through these. I don't want to necessarily belabor the point on all of them, but I figure it's worth kind of going through it. The next one is Ordinary. You just want to retire. You want to move on from this hectic life and find a nice place to settle down and take your ease. This is the I'm 5 days from retirement destiny. I just want to get through this. I just want to survive. The world's about to end. I have to go solve it. It sucks. I don't want to do this, but I have to, and I really just want to go find a nice quiet place and take it easy. So you get your destiny check here is will saves against emotion effects. You know, your anathema here is dragging someone else who is unwilling into your tumultuous life or otherwise causing chaos in a place that is at perfect calm or peace. And your ability is you can dream a simple life. Whenever you rest for the night, you can spend a hero point and dream of the life you once had, causing you to awaken refreshed and ready to step back into the maelstrom. You are restored to full hit points, lose any wounded condition or doom condition you might have. If you are affected by any afflictions, you get to make a free check to end them, even if, like, a bad check would result in it getting worse. That doesn't happen with this. You just get a check to see if it improves. You just have a nice dream about the life that you want. That's what you do. You just take it easy. This next one is fun. It's very powerful. This may be one of the more powerful ones in here. And this one is just power. From your earliest days, you have dreamt of something greater, something that will stretch beyond your years, making a lasting mark on the very fabric of history. But to make such a thing manifest, you will need the power to enact your dream. This is kind of the megalomaniacal destiny. So, you know, you dream of, you know, unlimited power. You know, your destiny check is diplomacy checks to make a request and intimidation checks to coerce. So it's a little bit more specific. You know, you just get it about giving people to give you what you want. Anathema is giving up any tool or advantage that clearly increases your personal power, and your special ability is glimpse of true plan. Your turn begins. You spend 1 hero point and receive a moment of clarity, giving you just a hint of the destiny that awaits you. At one point during your turn, you may declare that the next action you are about to take to be destined. Any check involved with that action is treated as 1 category of success better. You cannot spend any hero points during this turn, nor can you use any other fortune effects. Now, this one comes with a drawback that between the end of your turn and the start of your next turn, any check, the first check that you are required to make, is treated as 1 category of success worse, because fate does not like it when you grab power for yourself. It enacts a price. So, yeah. Yeah, an ordinary destiny turns into the doomed destiny one day. Yeah, no, that's fun. You can always trade those out. Next up, we got one that I talked about on social media. This is the Revenge Destiny. This is just someone that's wronged you. You know, they burnt down your village. They killed someone close to you. They've grievously caused you harm, and you are seeking them out to get your revenge. Your destiny checks here are diplomacy checks to gather information, probably about the person who you're hunting, and survival checks made to track the person that you're hunting. Anathema is disregarding anything that might lead you to the target, and then you get the Vengeful Strike ability. This is basically allowing you to spend an action and declare a Vengeful Strike. You spend a hero point, and if the strike hits, it deals an additional weapon tie of damage and can cause the fight. So basically, you can just spend hero points to do extra damage, which is not bad. Not bad. So there is that. Let's see. We only got a few left here, 3 or 4. Okay. So next up is Sacred. This is different than Blessed because it's not about the calling to a higher power. It's about being called to fight the forces of darkness. You have a sacred obligation put in front of you. And generally speaking, this speaks directly to certain types of evil. So, you get to pick a target of your vow. Hey there, folks. Sorry about that. Yeah, something went oddly wrong. I think my OBS froze up on me. It didn't like something I did, but I think I've managed to figure it out. I think everyone can see. Yeah, there we go. All right. Where were we? I was talking about the doomed... No, yeah, I had the doomed destiny. That's what was going on. So, where was I? I was talking about the sacred destiny. That's right. Oh, hey, you are now not picking the thing. Let me see. Go. There we are. So there we go. There's the Doom Destiny, and all right. There we go. So the Sacred Destiny here is one where you've been called to fight fiends or undead. I could also see a GM picking dragons for this, right? And basically, you can spend your Destin checks on saving throws made against spells and effects created by the target of your vow. And you get an ability called Sacred Light. You emit a golden radiance that is painful to the targets of your vow. Spend 1 hero point and emit this light in a 60-foot emanation until the start of your next turn. Any creatures that are the target of your vow who are in this area take a -2 circumstance penalty on all checks while they remain in the area. So basically, you can just screw those bad guys over as you go after them. Yeah, apparently it was so sacred it broke my stream. All right. Where we go to next? We got Sage. You're just destined to be, following the pursuit of knowledge to uncover great truths or illuminate some aspect of the past. You are destined to become an authoritative expert on a subject for whom no question is too esoteric, no riddle without an answer. You strive to know everything there is to know about a subject, even if that means putting yourself in a place of danger to find out that last clue, that last piece to give you a complete picture of the topic. Obviously, your Destin check here is on skill checks related to recall knowledge, and you get the ability to call upon lore. You call upon your extensive repository of facts and research to learn a bit about your current situation. Spend a hero point and attempt 3 skill checks to recall knowledge. None of the checks, regardless of the results, reveal any false information. If these pertain to any creature you are fighting, you may select weaknesses or special attacks, and the check will reveal one aspect of the creature is successful. So, it's just you're a fountain of knowledge. That's your destiny, is to become an expert, the absolute perfect sage on a subject. And then we got 2 more here. One is unstoppable. There's just some goal driving you forward. You are, gully foil. You are an unstoppable force. There is some goal driving you ever onward, demanding that you complete it. Although I suppose he could have the... It depends on which part of the book you're in. Your destiny is to finish this task, and you cannot rest until it's done. Your destiny checks here are made to escape a grapple, athletics checks made to climb, jump, and swim, acrobatics checks made to tumble through. Your ability here is just called Get Up. Your turn begins and you have the dying condition and are unconscious. You get up. you regain a bunch of hit points. You lose the dying condition, but you become wounded too, but you carry on. That is the thing that matters. So you really don't want to get crit once that happens, because that'll result in you dying. But, you're unstoppable otherwise. And then lastly, the last destiny we have in here is the warrior destiny. Your destiny lives on the bloody edge of a sword, on the battered reflection of a shield, and on the howls of battle. You were born to fight. You're basically destined to be a great warrior. Your destiny checks here are attack rolls made when you are below half your starting hit points. And you get battle song. You center yourself in battle mentally. Preparing for the fight, spend a hero point in action. For the remainder of this fight, the penalty you take from making multiple attacks can never be greater than -5, but any attack whose penalty would have been greater cannot score a critical success. So you were just made for battle. So there's 15 of these destinies, right? I don't think that's all of them. I just think that's as many as I could come up with in my first go through. So, this will be something that maybe expands over time. I'm interested to hear if I missed anything obvious. Feel free to throw those in the Discord, and we can chat about them. That'll be kind of fun. But yeah, I think that, Destiny is one of those things that I'm really excited to see in action. I don't actually think it's going to make a gigantic impact on the day-to-day play at the table. I think there are some characters with the right destiny it'll be a much more important. But for a lot of characters, it's going to be a thing that they call on only on occasion. And that's kind of the point, right? Your destiny isn't supposed to take over and be everything. Your character still makes choices and makes decisions. But I think, destiny as a whole is there to kind of give players agency over where their story is going. Like, in a kind of meta sense, right? That's one thing that Pathfinder doesn't do particularly. Players have their characters. They have ancestries and backgrounds and class. And that certainly defines what they can do with their turn, what they can do at the table. But what it doesn't really do is define, where they want their story to go. Now, I mean, everybody should have discussions about where those things are going, but this is a way to kind of signal, hey, this is what I think my character's story is about. And the interplay of those between various characters could be very interesting, right? You've got a barbarian who's doomed to meet a foul and a grisly end. You've got a rogue bent on revenge. You've got a wizard who's, out to be the ultimate expert sage on a topic. And you've got a cleric who's out there to kill every undead on the planet. That's an interesting adventuring group. They're not all going to succeed, but they're going to try. And it's really interesting to see how those things play. So, that is the Destiny system. So, the next thing I wanted to chat about here is the Penumbrist. So, this class is something that I've been tinkering with and working on since 2019 now at this point. So the Penumbrist is a brand new class. It's a full class. It is a full occult spellcasting class. And the kind of focus of this class is Eventide is a world that has with the decline of primal magic, occult magic is kind of in some ways ascending. And Penumbrist came out of that ascension, right? The shadows started talking to people. And they whispered about power and fortune and glory if only there were those who were smart enough to follow the shadows' advice. This class is nearly ready for all of you to play around with. I'm getting very close. I need to write probably about 10 more feats and a handful of spells, and a little bit of intro text, and I'm done. I know what most of the feats are going to be, so that shouldn't be too hard, but it is something that I need to wrap up. And I'm going to be working on doing that here in the next couple days. So I'm hoping to get a draft of this out to all of you by end of day Thursday, which should be a lot of fun. That'll be right before the start of April, which is actually coincidentally the first billing cycle for Patron. And I'm excited to let folks grab this class and play around with it. This is a class that draws power from the shadows and darkness. One of the things that they have to do is, and I think I've got, this is a little outdated, but I still have this floating around in here. And this is kind of a look at some of the initial bits of the class. This is a little outdated because I've rewritten some of the abilities and moved some things around since this. But it is coming together very nicely. And the first thing a Penumbris must do is they get an ability called, let's make sure I got this right. So they get an ability called Blessed by Shadows, and this just gives them low light vision and some other smaller perks. Then they get an ability called Calling. And with the Calling, make sure I have this right. Yes, Calling, they get a voice that speaks to them, and every Penumbrist's voice is unique. It's their own other character that speaks to them. And despite it being unique, they all kind of come from one of three categories. So you have to pick a type, but your individual one will be different, but they generally fall into one of three categories. So you've got your voice can be a jester. It is it makes jokes. It's sarcastic. It's wry. It floats in the shadow and makes fun of people. That is one option for your voice. It could be a snarler. It is angry and vengeful and it encourages you to take your price out on anyone who wrongs you. It is always ready for a fight. And then there is the whisper, and this one is cautious and careful and plotting and planning. And insightful. So each one of these, your choice of the type of voice, grants you some trained skills. Each one grants you 2 trained skills. It grants you an umbral spell, and these are the focus spells of the Penumbris. It gives you a feat, which is kind of a basic ability for your voice type. And it gives you some abilities, some special abilities that you can do with your motes. And I'll get to the motes here in just a second. So, the umbral spells are really cool. These are focus spells, but they're all shadow and darkness based. They're things that allow you to make attacks or sneak around better or do all sorts of things with shadow and darkness. The voices are a little bit like the Bardic Muse subclasses. A lot of classes have, hey, pick up a type of your abilities. It's like that. But it's also a little bit like the Witch in that it is something that is sentient. You don't quite understand it. It speaks to you. It works with you. It talks to you. And is kind of a companion. You're the only one who can hear it, but it's always there. Now, I mentioned motes earlier, and these are worth talking about. Motes, whenever you cast spells with certain traits, you gain a mote of shadow at the end of your turn. So these are spells with the shadow trait, the shade trait, the negative trait, or let's see, darkness, negative, shade, or shadow. And there's going to be a list of these in the occult in the thing of all of the occult spells with one of these traits, at least all the ones that I know of, just to make your life a little easier. And whenever you cast one of these, if you cast one on during your turn, you get a mote, a shadow mote that floats around you, and you can have up to 3. But if you don't cast one of those on your round, you lose one at the end of the round. So every round that you cast one, you get an additional one, and you can have up to 3. Once you're at 3, casting another spell just sustains you at 3. So you've got 3 motes around you. Now, the motes can do a number of things. While motes are around you, you are considered to be in dim light and are concealed, as long as you have motes around you. Now, anybody with low light vision or dark vision can still see you, right? I mean, it's just dim light. It's not darkness. And you can't hide using it, because your location is still obvious. You still need other things to hide. So all this is doing is making you concealed. But you can spend the motes to get bonuses. So whenever you spend motes, you spend all of them. You have no choice. The moment you spend your motes, you spend all of them, and you can't regain any that round. So you can't like cast a shadow spell and, you know, spend your motes on that spell and then get a mote at the end of the turn. You will go around without a mote. So most of them can be used on certain skill checks. The skill check's tied to your voice. You can always spend your motes on that. And basically you get a bonus of 1, 2, or 3 based on how many motes you have. So if you spend 3 rounds, you know, building up your motes, casting various shadow spells, and then you make, you know, a stealth check and you have the whisper voice, you can burn all 3 of your motes because stealth is the whisper skill, is one of the 2 whisper skills. And you can get a +3 bonus on that stealth check. You're just using the motes to help you with your... But each voice also has things it can specifically do with its motes. In addition to that, they all have a saving throw type that they can use as a bonus with your motes. So that's one thing you can do. And then through various feats and other abilities, you can spend your motes in different ways. So the Penumbrist has some feats, like growling motes. This is a snarler feat, feat 8. The motes that surround you take on a brutal strength and can be used as weapons. You can make mote melee attacks. These attacks deal 1d6 negative energy per level of your mote. So 1d6, 2d6, or 3d6 negative energy. Or negative damage. And the motes have the backswing and shove traits, because they're like mote bludgeons. If you score critical hits with one of these motes, you can expend all of the motes to give the target persistent bleed damage equal to the number of motes. That's just a feat. The moment you have motes, you can use them to beat up people with your motes, punching people with shadowy darkness. And, you know, each one of the voices has a mote feat that they can take that gives them something special they can do with their shadow mote. And this is, by the way, on top of, you know, being a full 9-level occult spellcaster. Now, they are a spontaneous spellcaster. So they do not prepare spells. They instead spontaneously cast spells, you know, based on, you know, spells that they know. I think, correct, right? Yes. Okay. Yes. So. Then why am I not seeing that either? I'll have to get back to you on that. Okay. Yeah, and then they've got all these other feats as well, right? So, you know, just like with any class, they've got a whole bunch of feats to choose from. I don't have these prepared in a way that I can show off any, but there are some fun ones floating around here. Obviously, they can get a Shadow Familiar. You know, they've got the standard kind of array of spellcaster bonus feats, things that give them, you know, more focused spells, things that allow them to become steady spellcasters and things like that. But they also have, you know, other things entirely that allow them to just do different things. They can get negative resistance. They can get Heart Sense, which allows them... Each Penumbrist gets a bonus to perception checks to see living creatures in low light, in dim light. At 4th level, they can take a feat called Heart Sense, which gives them limited life sense, so they can literally sense living creatures. The shadow is kind of drawn to these things, and they sense that pull. They can get a second voice, so they can have 2 voices talking to them and kind of split and get multiple abilities. You know, they also, of course, have feats that give them more umbral spells. You know, there's a jester feat just called Not Funny, which they get a spell called Horrifying Laughter, which is a Penumbrist focus spell. You know, fun stuff. Eventually they can get... There's an 8th level feat that allows the Penumbrist to split their shadow off from them and just have it go running around and deliver touch attacks. It's kind of like Floating Hand, but instead it's your shadow running around the battlefield, trying to get people. So there's plenty of fun stuff in here. At 12th level, they get an ability called Always Emote, where if they make a stealth check for initiative, they start combat with 1 mote. You know, so there's plenty of kind of fun, interesting, engaging feats for them to take. I'm still rounding out some of the final bits and pieces here, but it's coming together nicely, and I'm looking forward to getting that out to all of you by, let's say, end of day Thursday. That's my goal. I'm going to try and get this out to you. Now, there is actually some new spells that I'm also writing. Some to round out the list, to add some additional shadow spells. I'll read you the names of them, because I think there's some fun stuff in here. But I'm not going to describe them yet, because they haven't been loaded up yet. So, there's a cantrip called Creeping Shadows. There is a first level spell called Shadow Puppet. There is a 4th level spell called Hungry Darkness. There is a new 6th level spell called Gloomtide, which is like a giant supersized darkness spell. There is an 8th level spell called Shadow Rift, and I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is it right now. I may come up with a cool 9th or 10th level spell, but I haven't come up with one. So, there should be some new fun spells in there. There's obviously a whole bunch of new focus spells. There's already a lot of these. There's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shadow or penumbrous focus spells. There'll probably be 3 more by the time I'm done. So there'll be an even dozen penumbrous focus spells, plus a whole bunch of brand new spells for not just occult casters. Some of them will be in the occult or divine list as well. So, yeah, you can look forward to of that. So, here we are. We've got, maybe 5 to 10 minutes left here today. Why don't I go ahead and open it up to questions? So if anybody here has any questions, I'll be happy to answer some of your questions here before we call today's get together to a close. Next week, I want everybody to mark on their calendars to come back here on Tuesday, and we are going to have a look at the start of the playtest adventure. That's right. That's a week away. The first playtest adventure session is next Thursday. So I am getting close to running an Eventide campaign for the first time ever. I am super excited to do so. But we're going to take a look at that adventure next Thursday or next Tuesday. Back here, we should look at the adventure. I want to remind folks that as part of your patron benefits, you will get those adventure scripts from me as soon as they are ready, right? So you won't get the full adventure. What I'll do is I'll give it to you in the chunks that I myself am running it in. And so it'll be like leaves in an ongoing book. You will get the chunks of encounters as I run them, and you'll be able to run them yourself, or save them up and run them later, whatever you want. So, one of the questions is, how are the groups looking for ancestry and class-wise? Do I know yet? I've started to get some of that. I actually have, of the 10 characters, I think I have 4 or 5 of the surveys now, and I think I have 3 of the character sheets. So, some of them are running a little close to the wire. I haven't heard from them yet. I'm going to ping them again here tonight. But they are getting close. I will say this. One thing that's very interesting is that I have 2, one in each group, Goblin Bards. So I have 2 Goblin Bards, 1 in each group. So that should be interesting. I, of course, have a rogue in one of my groups. Can't imagine who that might be. I've got Sorcerer. I think I've got a champion. I may not. They were waffling on whether or not they wanted to go champion. They needed to be a fighter type of... They may be going barbarian. I have to double... kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum there. I have one person who is definitely playing a penumbrist, so that should be fun and interesting. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting group. Pair of groups. I'm really looking forward to it. I think one is going to be a bit more serious, and the other one's going to be a bit more filled with hijinks and antics. So it should give me a nice, robust test of the adventure. Will motes be granted from cantrips and focus spells as well? Yes, they will be granted from those. But you still have to spend the time to cast them, right? You know, it's still like that is part of your action. If you want to build up motes, you can certainly do so. But you have to spend time doing it. So I believe, yeah, those do count. Yeah, getting rid of gnomes, they went with the next best thing, which was goblin bards. So, if I were to guess, how long might it be before there's enough world info out there for other folks to start running? Well, I think this is a two-part question. One, if you're looking to run the adventure, you should be getting close to be able to run the adventure as soon as I start dropping the pieces. That said, the thing that I'm going to focus on the moment I'm done with the player material, I need to get the adventure sorted and sorted away. But the thing I'm going to immediately start doing is building the GM guide side of this. So I have a lot of that text already. It already exists. It's just waiting for its turn to get uploaded. Now, some of it I have to rewrite because I stole bits of it for the player's guide, right? So, for example, I'll probably do that in reverse order. I'll start with Wormbone, detailing adventure plots and details about the city there. And then I'll build out from Wormbone and talk about the Icescar Valley and some of the secrets and plots going on out there. And I'll eventually go all the way out to the world level and talk about Zankar and other places further afield. I'll probably do that in reverse order, so it may take me a little while to get all that information out because the adventure has to be my first priority. But I think that, you know, we're maybe a month away from that, maybe 6 weeks on the outset. It depends on how quickly I get the adventure kind of off and running, right? The first chunk of this adventure is actually quite robust and may take me several sessions to run. It may also be done in one session. I'm not sure yet. It depends on how the groups approach it. But that's we're going to have to see how that goes. I honestly think that for most groups, it'll probably be the first session will be kind of a get to know you and playing through the very intro and first kind of bits of the adventure. And then our time will be up and we'll continue the week after that. So the more time I have to play through those initial parts of the adventure, the more time I'm going to have to devote to GM material. So soon would be the answer, I guess. If you're looking to run Wolfran's Fate, probably very soon. If you're looking to run your own individual stories set in Eventide, that's going to take me a little, because I got to get more of the information out there and presentable. All right, folks. Unless there are any other last-minute questions, I think we're just about ready to wrap it up. I do want to say that this Saturday, there is another stream scheduled for this Saturday, and I think what we might do is look at the structure of the upcoming kind of campaign arc from a meta sense. What am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to do? That is going to be this Saturday at 3 p.m. That is for Eventide Masters and Lords only. So those at the $10 and $25 level. FYI, that tier. There will be a stream for them this Saturday at 3 p.m. That'll go from 3 to 4 right back here on YouTube. There'll be a link in the Patreon. Any info on the shade tag for spells? Nope. It exists. It's a thing. It's not the shadow trait. It's the shade trait. That's what it is. It's similar. It basically means this thing is tied to darkness and shadows and negative energy. It's more of a generic catch-all trait that I am using to kind of keep track of some things. So that's what that means for right now. And that seems like a perfect place for me to leave it and be all nice and cryptic. Wow, I think you may have mentioned that the Penumbras might be a sort of state-sanctioned in the Zankar Imperium, or at least one of the few practices of magic allowed. What might that look like? That is exactly true. The Penumbras actually came out of Zankar. They have since spread beyond it and are now all over the place. But they have the highest concentration there, and they are one of the few practices of magic that is still allowed and state-sponsored. So, what's that mean? Why is it like that? Don't know. Some things are still a secret and will remain so until I get around to explore them. So I am excited to kind of go through some of that stuff, but all in due time. I want to stay focused on the little stuff. I don't want to go and jump around and reveal all the world secrets just yet. I want to stay focused on Wormbone and the Icescar Valley and all of the secrets and stories that I have to tell there. Eventually we'll expand out. All right, folks. That's what we got here today. I want to go over to the credits. I do also want to say, folks, I've been doing these credits at the end of the videos. These credits will lock into place as of April 1st with the charge. Everyone who charges, they will be on the credits list for the next month. So make sure you're there for that. if that's a thing that matters to you. All right, folks, that's all I got here today. We will see you this Saturday for a higher tier Secrets of Eventide stream, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday for a adventure preview as we are gearing up to start the official playtest of the Eventide campaign. Thank you for watching, everybody. Have yourself a great rest of your evening. See you next time.